Now that we're in the Live2D software, it can be a little bit overwhelming, so we're going to go through all of the most important areas of our interface to make sure that you understand how each part helps us rig a VTuber model. First, we need to import our model, and Live2D only reads Photoshop files, so make sure you or your artist have saved your layers as a .psd. From there, it's as simple as dragging your .psd into the open space of the program and selecting your resolution size, which I suggest to be around 3000 by 6000 pixels. Once your model loads, it may look a little bit weird, and that's just because Live2D doesn't keep your clipping layers from your PSD, but that's something that we'll solve later in our clipping lesson. For now, we can just ignore it and move on to learning about the interface. Up here at the top, we have our menu bar. Like many other programs, it just has settings and options that we will use, but will be easier to explain when we actually need them. Next, we'll look at our toolbar across the top. It has all the different tools we'll need to create and animate our model, but we'll learn about these different tools in the upcoming lessons as we use them. The only one you need to know now is our arrow tool right here, and it just lets us click around the program. You can also hover over the tools to see their assigned hotkeys. In this case, our pointer tool is set to V. Now we'll go through each of these windows, and just know that you can rearrange them by clicking and dragging their name, or resizing them by dragging at their sides. My preferred layout looks more like this. It helps me stay more efficient when rigging, but for the sake of this course, we'll stick to the default layout. So feel free to change yours to whatever you like best. Starting with our first window up here, we have the parts window. It's exactly like the layers window in an art program, displaying the folders and the art layers within them. It also follows the same rule that the layers higher up on the list display on top or more in front on the canvas. There's one exception to this, and that's the number on the side here, which is called our draw order, and again, we'll have a dedicated lesson for that, so no need to worry about it for now. The buttons in this window are also pretty simple. On the layers themselves, we have the eye icon here, which will show and hide the layers from our canvas. And beside that, we have a lock button, which will lock the layers from being selected. At the top, there's those same two icons, but instead we'll hide or lock the topmost folders or layers. Beside that, there's a button to expand all of our folders, or you can individually expand the folders by clicking on the folders arrow. Next is a button that toggles the feature to expand a folder that contains any part that you click. This helps you easily find what you're looking for and what folder it's in when you click it. We have a button to lock the position of these layers as well, so they can't be dragged or rearranged. And on the very top right, we have these three little lines. Those just show some additional options. Lastly, we have some filters at the top that just show or hide specific layers that will be added to our parts window as we rig, in case you want to look at only one type of layer. The next tab over is our project window. It just shows the files that we have open and the PSD that we imported. We don't really use this window, so you can leave it be, or you can right click and close it if you don't want it to be there. Below our parts window, we have our deformer window, and this works exactly the same way as our parts window, but instead shows us our deformer hierarchy and art layers. Now you don't know anything about deformers yet, but just know that this is the place where we organize all the layers of our model and structure the parts to move together. The tool details window will show the settings for our selected tool, and the inspector window will show the settings and the details of the layers that we have selected. These two windows change depending on what you have selected, so again, we'll learn about these as we move along. Below those is the parameter window. Like we mentioned in our last lesson, parameters are the things that link movements to a specific value, and save these movements for tracking. They're a lot simpler than they look, and work similar to keyframes in video editing if that's something you're familiar with. Lastly, we have our canvas window. This is where we can see our model and where we're going to do all of our work. The buttons at the top hide and show different layers, like this canvas grid toggle here. There are still a lot of things we didn't go over, but please don't worry, as everything I showed you is 90% of what you need to finish your first model. The remainder has to do with physics and exporting, but we'll cover those later on. For now, feel free to rewatch this video, click around in your own software, and get as comfortable as you need in the program, because the next lesson is going to bring us straight into the concepts you'll be using to rig your first model. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next lesson.